Hi everyone, I'm Amanda and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to crochet this sweet little baby bonnet. This bonnet is for a newborn baby and the finished size is 5.5 inches by 5.5 inches, which is about 14 by 14 centimeters. I added a little pom-pom to the top of my hat, and at the end of each tie I added a couple of pom-poms also, but this is entirely optional. It looks really cute just on its own without the added pom-poms. This crochet baby bonnet is part of a set consisting of a little newborn romper, some matching baby booties, and a little bear rattle, which is also a little teething toy. I've got video tutorials and free written patterns on my blog for all of these items. I'll put links to them in the description box below. For today's tutorial, I'll be using a sport weight yarn, which is also known as 4-ply, and I ordered one skein of Hobie's Rainbow Cotton 8/4. It's 100% cotton. And they advertise it, or they class it as a category 1 superfine yarn, but I consider it to be more of a sport 4-ply yarn. And I used the colour baby blue. And with one skein, one ball, you'll be able to make the bonnet and the matching booties. You'll also need a crochet hook, which is 3.5 millimeters, and you'll need some scissors, a tapestry needle, and this is optional, but if you want to add some pom-poms, I used the Clover pom-pom maker. And this is really easy to use, and later on in the tutorial I'll show you how to make the pom-poms using this maker. I'll put links to all the materials that I used in the description box below. To begin, make a chain of 29. I've just worked my 29 chains, and for row 1 you're going to work 1 double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook. So counting 1, 2, 3 and 4, work 1 double crochet into that 4th chain. And then for the rest of row 1, I'm going to work 1 double crochet into the next 25 chains. So you'll work 1 double crochet into each chain all the way along to the end. I've just finished working row 1 and you should have 27 stitches in total. And when you're counting your stitches, the 3 chains that we skipped at the beginning, they count as a stitch. So remember to include these 3 chains when you're counting your stitches. For row 2, you're going to chain 2 and turn your work. And the chain 2 counts as your first double crochet. And then for the remainder of row 2, you're going to work 1 double crochet into the next 26 stitches. So your next stitch will be here. So we'll work 1 double crochet, and then we'll just continue to work 1 double crochet into each stitch all the way along to the end. I've been working my double crochet stitches all the way along, and I've just come to the end of the row, and you can see I've got the 3 chains that I skipped at the beginning of row 1. Make sure that you work your last double crochet into the top of that chain 3. And at the end of row 2, you should have again 27 stitches in total. And then for the remainder of this pattern, you're simply going to repeat row 2. So you'll begin by chaining 2, turning your work, and then work 1 double crochet into the next 26 stitches. And I'll be repeating row 2 until I have a total of 29 rows, which measures about 11 inches. And I just want to remind you that at the end of each row, don't forget to work your last double crochet into the top of the chain 2. So you can see we make a chain 2 at the beginning of each row. Make sure that you work your last double crochet into the top of that chain 2. I've just finished working my 29 rows, which measures just under 11 inches. So the right side of your bonnet should be facing up, and you'll know it's the right side because your little yarn tail will be down here in the bottom left-hand corner. We're then going to take our bonnet and we're going to fold it in half, so that the wrong side of the hat is now facing out. And we'll move on next and we'll seam up the back of the bonnet with a slip stitch seam. So to begin the slip stitch seam, I'm going to grab my hook and working yarn, and I'm going to align the two sides together, and then I'm going to come over to this corner here, and into the corner I'm going to insert my hook and then pull a loop through the first loop and then through the second loop to complete the slip stitch. So we've joined both sides together, and then I'm going to, on this side, I'm going to go through the end of this row of double crochet, and then I'm going to go over to the other side to the first row of double crochet and insert my hook, and then I'm going to pull a loop through, and then I'm going to pull the first loop through the second loop to complete the slip stitch. And then I'm going to move over to the next row of double crochet, insert my hook, then come over to the other side and insert my hook through the next row of double crochet on this side. Pull a loop through, and then pull the first loop through the second loop to complete the slip stitch. And I'm going to work in this way all the way up to the top. So moving along to the next row of double crochet, I'll insert my hook, and then I'll come over to the next row of double crochet on the other side, insert my hook, pull a loop through, and then pull the first loop through the second loop. So continue working the slip stitch seam all the way up to the top. I've been working my slip stitch seam all the way up, and I've come to the last row of double crochet. So I'm going to insert my hook through the end of this row and then come over to the last row on the other side and complete the slip stitch. And then I'm just going to fasten off. So I'll chain one and then grab my scissors and cut my yarn, and then I'm just going to weave this little end in with my tapestry needle. I've just finished weaving in my end, and I've turned the bonnet the correct way around so that the seam is now in the inside, and you can see this is the seam, what it looks like at the back. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to work some simple edging made up of single crochet all the way along the front of the bonnet, and then we'll make a couple of ties in each corner, and we'll also put some single crochet edging along the back of the bonnet. So to begin the edging, this is the front of your bonnet here. We're going to attach our yarn into the bottom right hand corner. And we'll start off by making the first little tie. So I'm going to chain 42 and I'm going to do this fairly loosely. I've just made my chain of 42 and I'm going to work one slip stitch into the second chain from the hook. So 1 and 2 into the second chain. I'll work one slip stitch. And then I'm going to work one slip stitch into each chain all the way down to the bottom. I've been working my slip stitches all the way along the chain, and I'm going to work my last slip stitch into the last chain here. And then I'm going to start my single crochet edging. So into the end of this first row of double crochet, I'm going to work one single crochet, and then I'm going to work into the end of each row of double crochet. So there's one row, then the next row. Into the end of each row, I'm going to work 2 single crochet. Just work over the yarn tail to hide it. So I'll work 1 single crochet, and then back into the end of this row, I'll work another single crochet. And then moving on to the next row, at the end, I'll work 2 single crochet. So there's 1, and then another 1 into the same place. So continue working 2 single crochet into the end of each row, all the way along the front of the bonnet until you get to the other corner. I've been working my single crochet edging all the way along the front of the bonnet, and I've come to the other side. Into the corner here, I'm just going to work 1 final single crochet, And then I'm going to begin on the second tie. So just like the first, I'll make a chain of 42. And again, remember to do this fairly loosely. I've just made my chain of 42 and into the second chain from the hook, 1 and 2, I'll make my first slip stitch. And then I'll work slip stitches into each chain all the way along to the bottom. I've just finished working my slip stitches all the way down the second tie, and we're now going to work our edging all the way along the back of the bonnet. You can see the seam here. Instead of working single crochet stitches along the back, we're going to give it some shape. So to do this, we're going to work single crochet 2 together stitches all the way along. So I've got the chain 2 here along this final row of double crochet. So I'm going to begin my single crochet 2 together in the top of this chain 2. So I'll insert my hook, pull up a loop. I'll have 2 loops on my hook, and then moving over to the next stitch, insert your hook, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, 1, 2, 3, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, and that's the single crochet 2 together complete. I'll do it with you one more time. Come over to the next stitch, insert your hook, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, come over to the following stitch, insert your hook, pull up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on your hook, 1, 2, 3, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So you're going to work single crochet 2 together stitches all the way along the back until you get to the other side. I've been working my single crochet 2 together along the back of the bonnet, and I've come to the seam section here. You can see the seam. So I'm going to work 1 single crochet 2 together along the seam here. So I'll insert my hook into the top of this stitch, pull up a loop, and then insert my hook into the top of this stitch here, pull up a loop, and then pull through all 3 loops. And then all along this side of the back, I'll continue to work my single crochet 2 together stitches as normal. I've just worked my last single crochet 2 together And I'm now going to join my work. So I'm going to come over to the bottom of the strap in here, and I'm going to join with a slip stitch. And then I'm going to fasten off, chain one, and then grab my scissors, cut my yarn and pull it through, and then grab my tapestry needle, and I'm just going to weave this little end into the inside of the bonnet. So here's what your little bonnet will be looking like at this point, and you can leave it just as it is. It looks really sweet. Or you can add a couple of pom-poms. You can add a pom-pom to the top and a couple at the bottom of each strap as well. It's totally up to you. It looks sweet with and without the pom-poms. To make my pom-poms, I like to use the Clover pom-pom makers. They're really easy to use. So you just grab one end here and pull it down, and it's the same on the other side. You just pull it down, and then you grab your yarn and you just start to wind it around the maker. And you'll continue to wind your yarn all the way around until it's full and this middle bit is level and it's filled up with yarn. So as you can see, I've filled up this side of the pom-pom maker and it's level here. It's full of yarn in the middle, and that's what makes your pom-poms nice and fluffy, nice and round. So then I'm just going to close it, really easy, and then snip my yarn, and then I'm just going to do exactly the same on the other side. Just pull it down and then start to fill up this end of the maker. So as you can see, I've filled up both ends of the pom-pom maker, and then at this point you're going to grab your scissors and you're going to cut through the middle. And it's good to have a really sharp pair of scissors for this. And I'll do the same with the other side. And then I'm going to grab a piece of yarn that I cut, and I'm going to put it around the middle of the pom-pom. And I'm going to secure it with a few knots. Pull it tight. then you're going to grab one end and pull it down, and then do the same with the other end. Just pull it down, and then you're just going to grab these little parts here, and you're just going to pull it out. And then with your scissors, you're going to start trimming your pom-pom. I finished making my little pom-pom and I attached it to the corner of the hat at the top, and at the bottom I made another one, and I trimmed this so that it's slightly smaller than this one at the top, and I attached it to the bottom of one of the straps. And I'm just going to show you with the other pom-pom how to attach it to the bottom. So I've got my pom-pom here, and I'm going to thread one end through my needle, and then I'm going to come to the bottom of the strap and insert my needle round about here and pull the yarn through. And then I'm going to grab the other end and thread it through. And then I'll come in through a different point, maybe round about here. And then I'm going to tie a few knots to secure it. So that's quite secure if you try and pull it. And then I'm just going to grab both ends and thread both ends through the needle. And then I'm just going to come to the back of the strap, and I'm just going to weave it in and out through the back, just to hide the ends and secure it even further. And here's what your little bonnet will be looking like once it's all finished. I really hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. If you liked it, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and hit the little bell icon so you don't miss out on any future videos that I upload. Thanks for watching.